Bienvenidos a la Daily Hustle. Soy Enrique Byrnes y presidente es el mejor cerveza. No avante por No Filter Network. Miguelito Santiaguito, not with us today. Will the Thrill Clark, not with us today, but he will be with us tomorrow. So we've rescheduled the Deuces Wild pod for Wednesday evening, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Will is traveling to go pick up his new dog today. So he's super pumped about that. But regardless, we come on here each and every single morning and we properly salute our boys and each and every one of you. Yes, 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 yes. Woo! Remember this, folks. When we are juiceful, we are useful. And when we are juiceless, we are fucking useless. A very pleasant good morning to you on the, the third day of December 2024. If you have not already gone to ericbyrnes.com to pick up your foot reflexology board, your Let Them Play parenting and coaching guide to use sportsbook, the Daily Hustle 222 Unfiltered Life Guidance from a Human Crash Test Dummy. Look at the size of this bad boy. And of course, the F-It List, Life Lessons from a Human Crash Test Dummy. But wait, there's more. The Flippy, that's right, the smiling double bird necklace guy that is not a fuck you to the world. It's actually more of a fuck you to the naysayer, the detractors, and a reminder for you to stay focused on everything that is right. Joe, good morning. Victoria, good morning. John Davis, good morning. Love the chat, up and firing. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, No Filter Network, YouTube channel, you're getting us not live, not in real time. The only place you can do that and interact is No Filter Network. So we obviously appreciate everybody joining. It just adds a little bit more, I think, to the experience. All right, let's get to today's Daily Hustle email that just went out a short time ago. I also sent a link. If you're not signed up for the Daily Hustle email, do yourself a favor. Do me a favor. Go to my Instagram account. I put a link to sign up for that Daily Hustle email. It's very basic. So go to my story time. You'll click it. The first thing you'll see is probably me standing shirtless in the 20-degree weather. And then the second story time that I have up there today is actually a link click where you guys can sign up for the Daily Hustle email. It's just, if you ask me, the best form of communication that I'm able to have with all the Daily Hustlers. It is not limited by a certain amount of words or anything that I can put in there. It literally has everything. It has a link to No Filter Network. It has a link to the podcast, a link to the shows. It has the Daily Hustle, whatever content that I came up with for that day. It has a guide to the books to be able to buy those, as well as speaking engagement opportunities and everything else. But it's all in one place at ericbyrnes.com, ERICBYRNES.com. And again, sign up for that Daily Hustle email, and that's when you truly become one of the Go Hard Tribe members. All right, here we go. This was a fun one. Buenos dias, hustlers. Today is Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024, and we are now just 22 days away from Christmas to pile up on these stocking stuffers and support the continuation of the Daily Hustle. At the same time, click link below and feel free to go on a wild footboard, book, flippy, coffee mug, shopping extravaganza. Let's not forget, though, our title sponsor, Bet Online, the #1 online gambling destination. All the latest news, scores, odds, predictions, everything you could dream of is over at Bet Online right now. We have the college football playoffs about to start. You got the NFL firing. You got the NBA action. It's fantastic. Talked to Tom Tolbert, by the way, for a very long time last night. So good to hear his voice. He was talking about the what I don't know what they call it, the NBA Cup, but the in-season tourney that they're having, and we had some fun laughs over that one. But you're able to bet on all of it. The NHL is going right now. So go to Bet Online. Once again, the game starts here. Okay, Daily Hustle quote of the day. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Daily Hustle translation. Was playing pickle pong last night. Yup, ping pong with pickleball paddles is a thing in our house. When I was having a difficult time getting the proper spin on my backhand flick, as the ball kept flying on me, my frustrations continued to mount, and my typical relentlessly positive attitude rapidly deteriorated. Down 15-9 to my 13-year-old, another ball sailed over the back end of the table, and I snapped. I proceeded to slam the paddle on the table just about as hard as I could, and that was it. Apparently, Colton, aka Biscuit, had enough of my piss poor behavior. There might have been a F-bomb or two that was dropped before that, but I didn't need to get into it. Quote, I'm done. Your actions are inappropriate. Your attitude sucks, and you're about to break your paddle. He wasn't happy about that because he gets all my my hand-me-downs. So he was looking forward to getting this Yola 16 millimeter brand new Perusis or whatever it's called. He then walked off, went upstairs, and it was game over. What the fuck, I thought. What was I supposed to? Wasn't I supposed to be the parent? And he was supposed to be the emotional teenager throwing temper tantrums. I stood there in shock for a minute and then began smiling and eventually laughing to the point of joyful tears, realizing this was an amazing, proud parent moment. For the first time in his life and our father-son relationship, the student became the teacher, and the teacher had no other choice but to become the student. I walked upstairs a few minutes later, apologized for my juvenile delinquency, and commended the young Gohard for taking a stand. Reflecting upon what I would consider a bizarre role reversal as we get older, it's important to understand that we are all imperfectly flawed, over emotional human beings that have a tendency to act out at times. While it is certainly important to have grace with ourselves and others, we must also be sure to hold ourselves and others accountable for dog shit behavior. For the most part, I like to think I've spent the first 13 years of Biscuit's life being an honorable teacher by way of both my words and actions. As a matter of fact, a few months ago, I walked away from a pickle pong game after he threw a very similar fit. Yet, last night, I had no choice but to become the quote, ready student. And I am incredibly grateful for the teacher that most definitely appeared. EB. P.S. Click pick below for today's IG post and blue link to watch today's Deuces Wild Daily Hustle podcast. Okay, so this is all true. I would say I'm ashamed or embarrassed. I'm not. As a matter of fact, it actually, I think in a lot of ways just humanizes me to the point where I'm able to look back upon my actions from last night and think, what the fuck was wrong with me? Why was I so over emotional in that moment of time? Now, I think there were a few things that added up. I think earlier in the day, I didn't play my best pickleball, so I was a little frustrated. And I didn't play poorly either. Like I played okay, but there were some shots that I'll look back upon. I went to Reno, third shot drop. Amazing place. If you're in the Reno Lake Tahoe area, you got to, and you're a pickleball player, you got to go there. My guy Will runs it. Tell him I sent you. He's just terrific. So anyhow, I think that then I come home after pickleball there, had dinner, had a glass of wine, all was good. And then we get into the pickleball and I'm floating shit out. And I think it's because I had the same problem today or yesterday trying to keep Will's serving. So Will and I played a bunch of singles. And his serve is nasty. I mean, it's just lefty, as hard as you can imagine. It's as hard as I've ever seen a serve. I would put it up there against just about any pros. Well, he pushed me back, and so I was squaring him up like no issues, like boom, okay. But I was floating these things out, and I was really getting frustrated. Eventually, I closed my grip down, boom, to make sure I kept it in. But then yesterday with the backhanded flick, and like I wasn't getting on top of it and rolling it over. And so I was missing long like I was earlier in the day. So I think it was a combination of the two. And the paddle that I have, it's actually really hot. So the ball fucking jumps off. It just it's electric. But you have to learn how to control it. And so all this said, I think that's what led to the frustrations. It wasn't even losing the pickle pong game. Now, I think at this point, we're pretty much 50-50. And he'll play with either hand. I'm much better with my right hand. He plays with his left hand as well as he plays with his right hand. And he'll do some switcheroo stuff. He's got two-handed forehands. He's got two-handed backhands, whatever. But I was super proud of him. Super, super proud of him. And yes, Joe, I don't think Kowalski has mental performance for pickleball yet. He needs to. He does do tennis, man. I was proud, though. I really was proud of Colton for doing what I did. And it wasn't like, I think it was like maybe hey, come on, man. It's like, earlier when I got frustrated. And then it was pretty just matter of fact, I'm done. You're acting immature. This is stupid. You're gonna break your paddle. And he walks away. And he walks away. Usually when that would happen, that's me, right? When I'm up in that situation. And I've probably done it once or twice. But it's not like I've done it a bunch. I certainly have done it once or twice. And if it teaches me anything, or any of us anything, I think it's that, you know what? We can melt down just like the kids can. And so I'm probably going to be a little more lenient next time. I'll walk away onto his ass if he acts like that too. But kind of like I said in the email, I think it's important that we have grace and we have empathy with ourselves and others, but not to the point where we're not going to hold ourselves accountable. And that was the exact right thing to do in the moment. I was just done. I mentally had broken down. I was frustrated. Whether I won or lost the game, didn't matter. There wasn't any benefit that he was going to get out of it. I was just going to get more frustrated. At some point, I was going to break my paddle, that's a whole nother story because I actually think it's broken. But on that note, onward, upward, whatever. Okay, let's get into the big topics that we did not discuss yesterday, because all of the rant and the rage and everything yesterday across the sports talk world was the flag planting at the 50-yard line and this was not just an issue in one place, but actually several. So today, right before I came on here, I ran across an article, not on foxsports.com, but on foxnews.com that talked to Baker Mayfield. And this is interesting because he was one of the first flag planters that I can remember. So let's get into the article and then I'll give you some of my thoughts here. It says Baker Mayfield developed a reputation for being a hard-nosed player and a bit of a trash talker when he was slinging the pill at the University of Oklahoma on his way to the Heisman Trophy. Mayfield may have been the one to start the flag planting tradition when he took the Sooners flag and put it into the ground of the middle of Ohio State's field in 2017 after a win. After a swath of fights over players trying to plant flags on their opponent's fields, Mayfield defended players for the attempts. Quote, I'll say this, OU, Texas does it every time they play, Mayfield said after the Tampa Bay Buccaneers narrowly defeated the Carolina Panthers 26-23 in overtime on Sunday. It's not anything special. You take your L and you move on. I'll leave it at that. Mayfield didn't seem to agree that flag planting should be banned either. Quote, college football is meant to have rivalries. It's like the Big 12 banning the horns down signal, he said. Let the boys play. Incidents took place Saturday following Michigan, Ohio State, Florida, Florida State, North Carolina, and NC State, and Arizona and Arizona State. Though the Arizona State game involved the Sun Devils pitchfork and not the flag. The Big Ten Conference levied the biggest discipline so far, $100,000 fines for each against Michigan and Ohio State. The Big Ten Conference has determined that the actions of both teams following the Michigan-Ohio State game on Saturday, November 3rd, 2024, was violated the Big Ten sportsmanship policy. The conference said in a statement, not only did the actions of both teams violate fundamental elements of sportsmanship, such as respect and civility, the nature of the incident also jeopardized the safety of the participants and the bystanders. As a result, the Big Ten Conference has issued an institutional fine to both the University of Michigan and the Ohio State University. Do we have to say the Ohio State University? I've never understood that. In the amount of $100,000 each, the statement said the Big Ten Conference considers the matter concluded and will have no further comment. So the further comment would be on whether or not flag planting should be allowed to take place. I can understand both sides. In one camp, you have Baker Mayfield saying, look, in the Oklahoma-Texas games, they've done this for years. That's where he got it. The winner will go to the center of the field, especially if it's on the road, and they plant the flag right there in the middle of the field. If you know that that's a part of it, if it's understood that that is what the winner is allowed to do, then go ahead and do it. But the minute you start doing that shit and the other team is not on board and not understanding exactly what's going on, they are going to pull the full-blown get off my fucking lawn attitude and come after you. And that's what happened in all these different games, whether it's Florida State, Arizona State, North Carolina, NC State. Like, it's just, look, if you're the NC2A, you're the governing body here. Come out and fucking say something. Something as simple. Or if you're the conference, we will not be allowing opposing teams to plant their flag on opposing teams' field. Win, lose, draw. It's just come out and say that. Come out and say, like, this is not okay. Then we're good. The fact that they're saying we have no further comment on that, I mean, that's kind of chicken shit. That's avoiding the actual root of the problem. This was caused by a flag getting implanted into the 50-yard line at Ohio State. That's the cause of it. Why would we just talk about the actions and not figure out a solution for the cause? So this is head scratching to me. Where do I stand on it? I don't know. I heard Mad Dog say yesterday, he's like, look, you're not fucking Russell Crowe. This isn't Gladiator. Enough with the flag planting. I'm good with that, right? I do understand what he's saying. I also understand Baker Mayfield saying it's all part of it. Who gives a shit? I'll probably roll with the Baker Mayfield camp and say it doesn't matter. But when you're having full-blown brawls happen because of this, now it does matter. It doesn't matter if we're talking about planting a flag or something that's said, whatever. The problem becomes when people are not okay with it. And obviously, there were a lot of schools this weekend that were not okay with flags or pitchforks or whatever fucking else was happening at the 50-yard line of their opponents. So that's it's gonna be interesting to see, if more conferences come out, if they talk about this, and what the ramifications will be, and if there's any new rules implemented as well. Okay, the New York Yankees are growing worried over emerging Juan Soto threat. And check this out. It's not the Mets. The Red Sox have emerged as a favorite, maybe the favorite, to land Yankees free agent Juan Soto. Two people with knowledge of the contract negotiations told New Jersey Advanced Media the Yankees are so hopeful of re-signing Soto, but they're more worried now than ever about their AL East rival, and a lot more worried about them than the Mets. The people requested anonymity because of the sensitivity of the issue. One person said that David Ortiz, the Hall of Fame slugger and Red Sox legend, has been trying to convince Soto to sign with the Red Sox by talking up the city, the organization, manager Alex Cora, and the farm system, which includes 3 of the top 10 prospects in the majors in MLB's pipelines rankings. That matters. It does, because if you're Juan Soto and you're looking at this and you're like, whoa, I mean, yeah, I have hundreds of millions of dollars coming my way. Wherever I go, I'd like to think that, I want to win. One deterrent, if he doesn't end up signing with everybody's favorite team, the Dodgers, then the question becomes, say if you're going to sign with the Mets, would you have confidence in the Mets going to the World Series over the next 10 years? How many times do you think the Mets are going to go to the World Series over the next 10 years? Once? If they're lucky? How many times over the next 10 years do you think the Los Angeles Dodgers are going to go to the World Series? No less than 7. I'm that confident. So the Phillies certainly could give them a run if they can figure their shit out. But I just don't know if that's the case. Atlanta, yeah, they give them a little bit of a run. The Dodgers, for the foreseeable future, are the best team in the National League. The American League is a little bit more up for grabs. So if you're Soto, the thought and idea of going back to the Yankees or going to Boston, and you're looking at those two teams, the question becomes who's better suited to win over the course of the next decade, because at least that's the term of the contract that Juan Soto's going to get. And so if you have 3 of the top 10 prospects from MLB pipeline in the Sox system, that matters. You have a manager that is going to be there for the foreseeable future in Alex Cora, younger manager. I guess it's sort of the same for Aaron Boone. I just don't know if Boone's going to be there for another 10 years or not. It seems like the hot seat there is a lot more than it actually is with Cora in Boston. The Yankees can't sustain a losing season. And they haven't. They haven't had a losing season like 30 plus years. It's incredible. incredible. I was reading something else about the Yankees. I think their last 10 consecutive losing, like last season in which they had 10 consecutive losses. I saw this on Doyle Media. Like, this guy does a terrific job. Was 1913. Think about that. They just don't fucking lose. They don't consistently lose. And that's the one thing the Yankees have done better than every single baseball team out there. It's what the Dodgers are doing right now. The Yankees have miraculously done it for even longer. So I certainly would consider the Red Sox heavily, right? And then you have Ortiz in your ear, and Soto is Dominicano. So, like, yeah, that matters. And the city of Boston is cool. I don't know how Soto feels about it, because I think each person is, I don't know, their own individual, right? Some people like Chicago better than New York, and San Francisco better than LA, and whatever. But it's all kind of personal preference. So the wild card in all this is going to be the Toronto Blue Jays. This is a team that apparently is willing to go above and beyond to attract Juan Soto. I feel bad for them, man. This is the same team that got fucking played by Shohei Ohtani last offseason. It's not even fair anymore. At some point, if you're the Blue Jays, I don't even want you bringing our name up unless you're going to sign with us. So if I'm running the Toronto Blue Jays, I'll get into the conversations. I'll go over the top with that offer, whatever it is. I'll go above and beyond. But under one rule, you don't fucking bring our name up. Once again, I don't want to keep being the butt of everyone's jokes. That's not fair. These are our friends north of the border. And by golly, they're really good people. Yet, whether it's Ohtani or Soto, I feel like we just keep shitting on them. And the media, even, it's just, So, Toronto, Canada, we love you. I still don't think you're going to sign Juan Soto, but we love you. I would have signed there. I would have. I don't think I would have signed there for less money. That's certainly not. But if it was the right spot and the right opportunity, Toronto's an amazing city. Talk to anybody who's played there. They fucking love it. So they keep going after the top guy. I don't know if that's the right play. I think the right play is you overpay for that tier 2 guy. And on top of that, if you're Toronto, knowing that, go after the Christian Walkers of the world. Go after the guys that, let's just say you have a 3-4 win player as opposed to Soto's damn near, 5-10 win player. But you go after a bunch of these 3-win players to make up for not having that ultimate superstar. Then you got to have a lot of faith in your scouting department to draft and develop and everything else. And that's where you can become relevant again. Okay, a couple other topics here. The college football national title odds. Oregon becomes a favorite after Ohio State's shocking loss. Now, I was wondering what these odds would be, because you have a 12-team playoff, so there's no way the favorite is going to be, the odds any higher or lower than like plus 500, right? There's just so many teams that are still involved, and there's not any team that I could tell that has been that dominant start to finish where you think, okay, that would be it. All right, so here we go. Granted, it took Ohio State's second loss of the season for the top-ranked Ducks, the only undefeated team left in the country, to become the favorite. Oregon is, drum roll please, plus 350 on BetMGM to win it all. The Buckeyes, who somehow lost 13-10 at home against Michigan, didn't fall far. They are the next group of favorites at plus 450, alongside Georgia and Texas, who will meet in the SEC title game. Notre Dame, which rebounded from an early season loss to Northern Illinois to finish the regular season 11-1, is fifth. Their odds are plus 900. There's some value there. Real value there. The Fighting Irish are somewhat unproven with one win against a team in the current AP Top 25, this number 24 Army, but have been blowing teams away lately. Notre Dame is on a 10-game winning streak, and the only 2 of those games were remotely close. The Irish beat Louisville by 7 points in late September. And this past week, USC had a drive to tie the game in the last 4 minutes, but Notre Dame got not 1, but 2 pick sixes from their end zone to put the game away. The Irish are a tough team to evaluate because of a softer schedule. Their season opening win at Texas A&M has lost some luster. Okay, look, I'm an Irish fan. Love the Irish. Always have. Was a subscriber to Blue and Gold magazine when I was a kid. Riley Leonard's legit, the quarterback at Notre Dame. This is a very good team. This is a very good defense. They're athletic. Is this an SEC top team? No, there's not. They're good. They could take down anybody on any given day, but it's tough to say that they should be up there. I mean, I all day I'd take Oregon. I didn't want to talk about Ohio State, but even fucking like Georgia, Texas, I'd probably say, if from what I've seen, if I had to put a favorite on the best team in the country right now, I still think it's Texas. I'd have Texas up there. I'd follow that up with maybe Oregon and Georgia. It's interesting because let's keep looking at these things. Penn State and that bullshit. Their fucking coach did the other day, running up the score late. I mean, look, I'm all about playing to the end, but when you're in the fourth quarter with 22 seconds to go and all you got to do is take a knee or run one more play and it's over, and he takes 2 different shots in the end zone and ends up hitting the second one, that's fucking bullshit. I do think there is an element, and you could go ask any travel ball coach who's coached against me. I don't stop playing. I do not stop playing until we get to the run rule. I don't. Now, it's different in travel ball as it is in college football, right? Because the run rule, obviously, in that situation, they were up 30-something to 6, I think. It was over. But I do think, we got a big argument and debate about this with one of the teams we were playing. And this team's not even a bad team, but we went up, I don't know, call it 12-0 early. And our guys were still playing. Well, the first run rule that we were going to encounter was 15 after 3. So no matter what, we had to get to 15. So our guys just kept playing. They kept stealing bases. They kept taking the extra base, all of it. And then we got to the 15. At which point, we told the boys, yo, on the base pass, we could stop running. Some of them, it takes a minute for them to understand that. And next thing you know, fans are chirping, to have it back and forth. I'm like, look, I'm not going to tell them to stop playing. I'll tell them to stop running. I will not tell them to stop playing. They hit a double, make it a fucking double. They earn that double. A pass ball happens, you take that base. Now, a block ball in the dirt that's right there, no, we don't have to push the envelope. So it's interesting because you have all these unwritten rules, but even with the unwritten rules, they're not the same. And what's my belief is not your belief, is not someone else's belief. So I do like the thought and idea. Again, if from a travel ball perspective, you play to the run rule. You keep pushing the fucking envelope until the run rule, and then you call off the dogs, at least when it comes to stealing bases. Other than that, look, I got into it with some of their opposing fans. Their coach and I had some words. I let our assistant coach, John, take over duties at third base, and he was stopping them on, like, clear doubles. He was stopping them at 1. We ended up scoring, I think, 30 runs that game anyway. I don't know what to tell you. They're trying to tell us, they're like, you guys shouldn't be here. I'm like, we shouldn't be here. What are you talking about? You're a top national team is what they were telling me. I go, I don't give a shit. This is a top majors tournament in Huntington Beach. Where else are we supposed to be? Where else are we supposed to play? That's stupid. It really is. Think about that. And I mean, you don't play at the highest level. And I remember when we had teams that weren't top national teams and we had an opportunity to play a top national team, I fucking loved it. I remember playing MVP Hustle Casillas for the first time, and they were a top national team that hadn't lost in like 4 years in their age group. I relished that opportunity. I thought it was awesome. The game started out tight, and then they kicked our ass. And I loved every minute of it. Why? Because our boys got to see what that looked like, what top national teams are supposed to look like, what they do. And on top of that, whether it was this team or any other team, you got to fucking coach. Don't get on me. You're focusing your energy and efforts on me because our kids are quote unquote too good of baseball players to be playing this tournament. When I'm watching you not fucking coach, I'm watching your outfielders, one guy, the left fielder's at the freaking wall, the center fielder's, off in La La Land picking flowers somewhere. Your right fielder's adrift. Infield's all disoriented. Pass balls, leads are dog shit. No one's getting the right jumps. I mean, look, that's the stuff. And it's funny because all the banter was coming from the parents. And it's like, why are you guys focusing on me when all of your energy should be focused on what's happening with your boys and what's happening with your coach? Why isn't he coaching? Do you think there's maybe a reason it's 30-0? Explain that. This is lack of accountability these days. It is. Lack of accountability. So, and I don't mind, and I understand. They don't want their kids getting embarrassed out there. Their kids they weren't terrible baseball players. It just, they caught us on a really good day. And I will tell you this, our boys know how to play because we obsess over the little details. The same way they should be obsessing over the details, even if they're going to lose, even if you're going to get pounded. The same way we did this when we used to get throttled by top national teams. The same way. I would not focus at all on what's happening with the scoreboard. I focused on what's happening on the field at the moment. What's happening with our leads. What's happening with the reads that we're getting. What's happening with our adjust? What's happening with our positioning? Are we moving together? Are we moving in unison? All of this stuff is the shit that matters. Are we taking the extra base? Are we taking the second secondary? When the ball comes in, are we watching it come in the whole way, making sure the ball is secured before we shut our motor down? All of this stuff's the stuff that matters. 1,000% matters. So I obviously went off on a huge little tangent right there. And that was after watching Penn State. I will no longer be rooting for Penn State. And the irony in all this is that I'm kind of arguing back the other way because I don't know what his point or his purpose was. It really made no sense to me. And then him and the whoever they were playing, the coach, they certainly had some words at the end there. Okay, Tennessee is plus 1,800. So it's Penn State at plus 1,000, Tennessee at plus 1,800 for the national championship. So that's 18-1 odds. It's not bad considering there's only 12 teams that are going to get in here. It says, but the team after that is the one that will turn some heads. Alabama, the Crimson Tide, is at plus 2,200 to win the national championship despite a 9-3 record. Alabama could benefit from Miami's loss at Syracuse on Saturday. The Hurricanes dropped to 10-2 and missed out on the ACC title game. Alabama is the number 11 in both polls, 3 spots ahead of number 14 Miami. The polls don't carry any relevance, but they could be a sign of how college football playoff rankings will look on Tuesday. If Alabama enters the weekend at number 11, the Crimson Tide are likely in with an SMU win against Clemson in the ACC title game. Even if Clemson, which is 9-3 and well below Alabama in the polls, wins, Alabama could jump SMU and get in that way. Either way, Alabama will be a talking point ahead of the college football playoffs reveal on Saturday. So I can't wait for this. Just like last year, the last spot in the field will be up for debate as Alabama would have to take it from a team with fewer losses. Last year, 12-1 SEC champ, Alabama got the fourth spot in the field ahead of 13-0 ACC champ Florida State. Well, and rightfully so, too. Then Florida State when got fucking pummeled in that bowl game. Then followed it up with a dog shit year this year, which was without starting quarterback Jordan Travis due to injury. Okay, got it. College football fans across the country may be sick at the thought of another debate about Alabama, but the odds reflect the idea that Alabama is a dangerous team if it makes the field. You got SMU at plus 3,000, and there's an interesting mix of teams at plus 5,000. It's Clemson, Indiana, South Carolina. Indiana is viewed as a virtual lock to get into the 12-team field, but those odds show little confidence that the Hoosiers will actually do anything when they get there. It's also likely that the odds for teams like Alabama, South Carolina, Miami, plus 25,000, and BYU, plus 25,000. And Ole Miss, plus 50,000, will change drastically over Tuesday's rankings. Look, I would take whoever gets in, whoever has the highest odds, right? So if you have Ole Miss at like a plus 50,000 and they get into the 12, I'm fucking taking them. Why not? I mean, you're at 12, right? Go for it. There's a chance. It's just like getting in the dance. It's like taking the biggest underdog in the MLB playoffs when they get in there. You never know. And whoever gets hot at the right time, I do think there's parity in college football. There really is. And this season's proved us anything. It's that just about anyone at any time could beat the other team. I mean, there's a reason why Alabama has 3 losses this year. All right, last thing I'm going to get into right here. Azeez Al-Shaair suspended 3 games for his hit on Trevor Lawrence in that Jaguars-Texas game. I don't know if you guys saw the hit or not. It was fucking brutal. It was bad. And the thing that got me when I finally watched it, and I didn't watch it till today. I didn't have any desire to watch it when the article came out. I'm like, yeah, if I'm going to talk about it, I better know what I'm talking about. I didn't watch it for a reason, not just because I literally was avoiding it. I don't like to see dudes basically get knocked out on a field. But Al-Shaair used his forearm. When he goes in there, he had this big old pad, almost looked like a cast thing on his left forearm. He's a safety, comes flying in. You saw Trevor Lawrence goes down. He's going down with him. All he had to do was roll off. Even if he went down and just went like this, there would have been minimal contact. Trevor Lawrence would have been fine. That's it. He went fucking headhunting. He was here. He comes in, leads with that forearm, and just fucking finishes him off. It was brutal. So I don't know if this is unprecedented or not. I can't remember a hit that cost somebody 3 games. This is 3 games that Al-Shaair will be missing. So kudos to Roger Goodell and the NFL for setting precedent, because this has no place in any sport. It's just bad. It really is. It's brutal. It's tough to watch. And I just hope more than anything, and I know Al-Shaair has been apologetic about it, I just hope that this sets the tone going forward and basically telling players, look the fuck out. Because if you unnecessarily rough up anybody else, and with all the head injuries and everything that they've dealt with in the entire history of the NFL, for this sport to survive, you just can't have it. You 1,000% can't have it. All right, Joe, John, Victoria, everybody else joining today, thank you guys. A lot of love. We will be back at you tomorrow with a Daily Hustle and Deuces Wild. If you're listening up or Spotify, you can leave a review. We'd greatly appreciate it. Same thing if you're listening or watching on the No Filter Network YouTube channel. So, Daily Hustle tomorrow. Will the Thrill is back tomorrow evening, 6 p.m. Pacific. Join for that. Everyone have a great day. See ya.